endure quite a bit of defending right at the top of your own box. You've got to get the ball to the feet of Ribéry. Valbuena somehow tried to get Benzema in space.
Well, that is one of the issues for the French, isn't it? Can Karim Benzema rediscover the scoring touch? It was interesting. Sergio Ramos had something to say about that in the build-up to kickoff.
Well, Sergio Ramos.
Hombre, yo creo que cuestionar a un futbolista como Benzema es una locura, ¿no? Porque tanto como para Real Madrid como para la selección de Francia, yo creo que es un futbolista súper especial, que marca la diferencia, que es un extraordinario delantero y que le viene bien tanto a Real Madrid como a su selección, ¿no? Después cada uno es libre de opinar lo que quiera. Para mí, evidentemente, cuando Benzema está bien, yo creo que hay pocos delanteros, ¿no? que puedan alcanzar el nivel de un futbolista como él.
Well, he's seen up close, hasn't he? The sort of goods that Benzema has been able to produce at club level for Real Madrid, his teammates, but no goals in 11 dating back to June the 5th last year for Karim Benzema, wearing the shirt of France. An intriguing second half we appear to have in store here. Spain need a victory to assume control of their own destiny again. With a draw here, the French know that they run the table throughout the rest of qualifying. They will win the group and force the Spanish into a potential playoff scenario.
Playoff scenario is one that no one really wants to endure. Say that between FIFA and UEFA seeding the playoffs in Europe, stand a better chance, especially both these teams, if they do end up in the playoffs, in the form that they're in.
Well, we heard Gabriel Marcotti on our show, ESPN FC Press Pass the other night, Shaka, telling us that actually FIFA have not come out with any public pronouncements about seeding yet. They haven't said whether the playoffs will be seeded or won't. It's almost as though they're hedging their bets.
Well, and that's what I don't agree with. When they first announced seeding for playoffs, it came when the teams were decided, and it was almost an afterthought, which upset everybody, understandably. Just wish there was a rule that was set well beforehand and they stuck with it.
Both these teams will be more than anxious to avoid the lottery of a home and away playoff to decide who goes to Brazil. The next 45 minutes could go a long way towards it determining which it is. Arbeloa. Changes to report at half-time as Benzema feeds Valbuena. Jallet has been an adventurous force down the right for the French. Valbuena down to the Newcastle man, Yohan Cabaye. Jallet. Valbuena, it was a fair tackle. And Sergio Ramos, according to referee Victor Kasai.
So I agree with the referee on that one. I thought Ramos read Valbuena well.
Valbuena had a very different career path. His father was born in Spain and he could have represented the Spanish. He chosen that path. Monreal, some space for Xavi. Quite haul it in. And Ribéry. Some intricate football, but deep inside their own half.
Football on the far side by Spain. Xavi to release Monreal, but Monreal gets the ball and he's only really got two options. David Villa, who's well marked, and Xavi sitting top of the box. Just like to see the Spanish get more numbers forward. when they are in good possession and when they do get their wing-backs forward. I also like to see Xabi Alonso get on the ball with his passing range. They certainly stretched that French back four.
Fairly heavy collision there with Ribéry. Didier Deschamps, who captained the World Cup and European Championship winning teams just over a decade ago. And he took over from Laurent Blanc in the aftermath of Euro 2012. France so often have been on the plane home early from tournaments. In recent years, have only been at the beach by the time the Spanish have lifted the trophies. Fancy footwork from Ribéry, delighting the crowd, and Evra's persistence wins a corner.
Good from Patrice Evra getting forward. He's not done that too many occasions today. Testing Arbeloa.
Valbuena, lovely service! And Victor Valdez had to get there. Good spell this for the French.
Victor Valdez does really well here in reading this cross. It's a clever little ball and take a choice from Valbuena, Koscielny and Pogba. That would have been 3 headers had they gotten on the end of that one. Takes a chance, the goalkeeper, and gets rewarded for it.
Iniesta. Busquets, Mr. Gerard Piqué has gone past the 50-cap mark now for his country. Sergio Ramos, who became the youngest European to win 100 caps for his country, did so that draw against Finland on Friday, beating the previous record that had been set by Lucas Podolski.
How good has Sergio Ramos been as a centre-back for both club and country? Created right back, and I think he's found his best position.
Well, there was a stark contrast in experience between these two starting lineups. Xhaka, only 4 players for Spain, had earned less than 50 caps in the starting 11. Only 4 players for France had earned more than 20.
You wouldn't have thought so. They were only opening 51 minutes of this has got. You talk about Paul Pogba making his debut just a few days ago up against the world champions and has not looked out of his depth, nor has Rafael Varane.
Villa, no space to operate.
This one again, the Spanish appealing for a penalty. This one, nothing doing for me. I think Koscielny and Villa just come together in rather harmless fashion.
Still looking to get back to his potent best after that injury that could quite honestly have been career-threatening for him. Iniesta, the pale knight, as the Spanish media love to call him, has a habit of coming up with goals on the big occasion, doesn't he, Iniesta? I wonder if it's a habit he's going to keep tonight, as a yellow card comes out here for Yohan Cabaye.
It's been a frustrating evening for Cabaye. He's not seen a lot of the ball. He's had to chase a lot more than he's used to. So I'm just taking a little piece of Sergio Busquets and getting booked for it.
Busquets for Spain. Xabi Alonso. Iniesta! Well, it opened up for Andres Iniesta. An impudent flick of the left foot, and the ball sailing just too high.
I thought his first touch just choked him slightly. In the end, it's a fantastic save by Hugo Lloris.
Yeah, he got his fingertips to it, didn't he, the French keeper? Corner now for Spain. They scored from a corner against Finland on Friday. So often when this side have been questioned, they have responded with a reminder of their devastating potency. Quite worked out that way here tonight so far. More of a patient waiting game. And now Xavi and Iniesta combining again. Pogba digging in. Well, that was great work from Paul Pogba, who's been a revelation, hasn't he, this season for Juventus? And winning just his second cap, remember, tonight.
He really has not looked out of his depth at all, has he? This is a wonderful performance by Paul Pogba.
He's been a big part of Juventus' return to European prominence. They'll be in the Champions League quarter-final next week up against Frank Ribery and Bayern Munich. Now here's Valbuena. Benzema. Jallet in some space. Needed a better cross though, and plenty of French shirts in the Spanish penalty area there.
Just trying to pull it back for Valbuena. Not a great ball by Jallet's standards. Spanish VAR, no real answer for Frank Ribery in possession. I just saw that Iniesta choked himself with the first touch, couldn't get as good a swing as he wanted. Well, that was going in.
And Lloris fingertips, ensuring it went over the bar instead. Lloris has been shipping goals of late for Spurs, 4 against Inter, 3 against Liverpool. And the losing side against Fulham too, as this corner, or rather free kick, comes in a clash of heads from Benzema. Didier Deschamps, who had Olivier Giroud up and warming up just a few moments ago. Busquets was Benzema's opponent in the air there. Both of them slow to get up.
It's an innocent clash of heads between the two players. Just I was a little bit surprised that Deschamps went with Benzema as opposed to Giroud. I think when it comes to national team football, you go with the player who's in form, and that player Giroud. I don't think I can remember in recent memory of the national team having a similar decision to make. Van Marwijk, whether to play Van Persie at the European Championships.
Well, talking of the Netherlands, Shaka, Robin Van Persie on target twice, and they are looking very comfortable, aren't they, against Romania? Netherlands have barely broken sweat in their World Cup qualifying group. Pedro. Oh, Monreal has got inside Jallet. Monreal, and the touch from Pedro is kept out. No, it isn't. It's forced home. Lloris couldn't keep it out, and Spain strike first. It's Pedro who will get the credit.
Absolute mess of his positioning. I think that was over by the time that Lloris got a touch on it. It's not a clean contact by Pedro. Gets inside of Patrice Evra. Those both wing-backs whose positioning are rather questionable.
French defence unzipped by the speedy Monreal. And Pedro's timely run was perfect, wasn't it? Combination of he and Patrice Evra leading the ball. Lloris with the despairing dive, unable to keep it out. And Spain have the lead again. And Didier Deschamps will know the last 2 times that's happened, they haven't been able to keep it.
First time that Christophe Jean has put a foot wrong on the right-hand side of the French defence.
Pedro being credited with the goal. If it is indeed his, it'll be his 12th in just 26 appearances for Spain. It's a pretty handy scoring record. The 4th of this World Cup qualifying campaign as well for him after a hat-trick against Belarus. And now France have it all to do as Spain appear to be readying a substitute.
Great ball by Monreal. I think Lloris gets unlucky, gets a hand to it in the first place, and I think it's just about to go over the line. That's just unlucky.
In the aftermath of the lead being gained, David Villa is the man who makes way for Jesus Navas, a speedy Sevilla winger. Come on and win his 23rd cap, and he will pose a very different sort of problem, won't he, for the French defence?
Really well, he's come up to this right-hand side. That'll push Pedro more central. It doesn't make things any easier for either Varane or Koscielny. Oh, Evra seeing that.
Well, there was a lot of focus before the game, Shaka, on the fact that Spain's attacking weaponry down the left would be diminished without Jordi Alba on board. But Nacho Monreal, an incisive contribution to the Spanish goal, down that very side.
And he's gotten forward every time of asking Monreal. At times for Arsenal have questioned some of Monreal's positioning, but it's not really been tested, or certainly not been found out here today. And when needed, he's gotten forward to good effect. Oftentimes, Spain have been a little bit reluctant to get the ball to those wing-backs when they get forward. Brings huge rewards this time. Monreal picked out.
Kazakhstan have got one back against Germany. Early in the second half in Nuremberg, as Kabay tried his luck, the man who's often described as the French Xavi.
There's no question he can hit them from here, Kabay. But it's just not been one of those days for the Newcastle man. It's been frustrating playing up through the middle, often is when you play against Spain. Saw him pick up a rather cheap booking again. I thought that was born out of frustration, as was that shot.
Has only scored once for France, and that came against Ukraine at the Euros last summer, as Jesus Navas works on Evra here. Propelling Spain forward, getting to the byline. The cross was decent, and Pedro was on the end of it. It could have been 2 for Spain.
I thought this ball just popped up a little bit higher than I expected. I'm certain that Pedro did as well. Seemed to catch it just a little bit high up on his shin almost. A real surprise that he skied the effort.
Pedro, a player who's very much back to his best for club and country after being remember, out in the wilderness for huge stretches of last season, as Ribéry managed to burst through the centre, help arriving. The shot is on! Oh, and Victor Valdez in the end with a relatively comfortable save from Blaise Matuidi.
Valdez does really well here. I thought Matuidi just slowed down, almost wanting to get PK close, to use him as a bit of a disguise, to to unsafe Victor Valdez, which he did. Victor Valdez sharply back down to his left after moving to his right. That is some save.
And, you know, those two will be meeting again next week in the Champions League. Paris Saint-Germain take on Barcelona. The first leg here in Paris, where apparently they could have sold 1 million tickets. They had that many requests. Zlatan Ibrahimovic now going to be part of that game, Shaka, after his suspension was reduced by UEFA this morning.
It's a huge plus for them. He's been showing Croatia. Absolutely seen without him how the passes him up.
France 0, Spain 1 here. The Stade de France in the chilly northern suburbs of Paris. France, who are themselves on an unbeaten run in qualifying that stretches back 13 games. Under threat here again from Jesus Navas. His run finds Iniesta. It's all perfectly set up, isn't it, really, for the Spanish now, as the French will have to chase the game over the closing stages.
Which is why the substitution, bringing on Jesus Navas on this right-hand side, makes perfect sense. It stretches that French back four. You see, Navas has the beating of Evra early on. Trouble Evra after playing up against Pedro, who liked to come inside more times than not. Navas will go the other way. So just did against Evra. Completely different type of player.
It's all got a little ragged at the moment for France. Some giveaways, some unforced errors. Spain very much living in the comfort zone. They never did get the second goal, though, against the Finns on Friday in Gijón, and that ended up costing them. Be very anxious not to repeat that mistake. Lovely work by Monreal. Winning just his 12th cap tonight, Nacho Monreal. Move from Malaga to Arsenal a couple of months ago. A lot of space for Arbeloa on the near side. Jesus Navas. Only one competitive win by the Spanish against the French in 8 previous tries. If this was to be a second, it would have huge implications in Group I.
Well, the French have to press the ball higher up the park. This is exactly what the Spanish want. Better team in world football, in possession, under pressure, and it's showing.
Didier Deschamps still keeping his powder dry in terms of any changes. He's had Giroud warming up. He's now got Jeremy Menez warming up. He's got this free kick to worry about now. Carelessly conceded by Matuidi, who's going to get booked as well into the bargain.
This is just the incessant fouls by Matuidi as opposed to one individual infringement.
Everything working out according to the Vicente Del Bosque master plan for the game. A second goal, though, would be a defining moment, perhaps. Xavi. Goals in 119 appearances for Xavi in the Spain uniform. Five-man French wall. Xavi, he clipped the top of the wall with his efforts. Danger averted from Franck Ribéry and company. Can they pose a threat at the other end? Fairly quiet in that regard in the second half. Johan Cabaye, I think, has seen his number held aloft. That means Jeremy Menez is going to come on. Another flying winger. And another man who plays his club football in this city with PSG. Great reception too. Israel have a late lead against Northern Ireland in Belfast. Israel coming so close to leading Portugal last time out as Jesus Navas has some daylight here. The angle was too tight to connect with Pedro.
It's a great little ball to release Navas, but he gets here and doesn't have much of an option in the end, despite trailing in his wake. Never perfectly positioned. Didn't really leave Navas much of a cutback. Didn't have anybody up alongside him in support.
France restart the attacking engine here. Xhaka spluttered a little bit.
Well, they've been frustrated by the possession. They've pressed and not really had much success just yet. I think the substitution was a good one by Deschamps. Jeremy Menez will add a threat that we've seen from both Ribéry and Valbuena.
Here's Pogba feeding it wide for Menez. First chance to really run at the Spanish defence for him. Menez halted in his tracks. Pogba, though, has very much looked the part. Very much looked like an international footballer with a huge amount of pedigree, even though it's his second cap. This is good football from France. The pass, though, just behind Evra. But that brings the crowd back to life at the Stade de France. Signs of life from Didier Deschamps' men. And a corner to work with too. Up they come from the back. Varane, who scored a couple of goals against Barcelona for Real Madrid in recent Copa del Rey games. Koscielny will be a target as well. Near post flick, but too much on him.
It's a better tempo about the French game now.
There's getting us underway again. First game at the Vicente Calderon in October, Spain actually missed a penalty that game. Chance to really put it away. Cesc Fabregas missed from the spot. Spain making life a little awkward for themselves at the back, but Piqué tidying up.
That game in Spain, French had to be patient, rewarded for their patience with a 94th minute equaliser. Giroud had come off the bench. Still on the bench for this one.
Yep, still waiting in the wings, Olivier Giroud, but now on the wing is Mathieu Valbuena. Ribéry bombing forward in support. Getting around the outside, Ribéry still going. Well, it took a crowd of Spanish players to break the stride of Franck Ribéry there.
Xavi Menez playing wide on the right between Ribery and Valbuena. They're swapping on this left-hand side. Both as unpredictable as the other. It's given the Spanish a lot of problems. It's given the French a lot more options.
And it comes, oh, it's up for grabs! And desperate defending from Spain, denying Rafael Varane. Just for a moment, he seemed to have the goal gaping.
This ball just goes over the head of Pogba and seems to just fall at the feet of Varane. He's not expecting it. In the end, really, the Spanish get lucky.
Well, Varane couldn't react in time. Another man winning just his second cap tonight. And now displeasure from the Parisian crowd that Pedro is down and precious time is starting to tick away.
It's not just about the time. They've got fully 15 minutes to go in this one. It's about the momentum that I think the French were just starting to get a hold of. Whichever way, I think this is good for the Spanish. Just a little break. Wishing ill on Pedro, not by any stretch, but I do feel that the Spanish are just starting to lose control of this one.
Certainly, the tide is with the team in blue at the moment, as they've responded to the challenge. Laid down by Spain. This was how the corner found its way through to Rafael Varane. Nobody touched it, Xhaka.
Well, it's just over the head of Piqué, Pogba, Koscielny there. Varane just doesn't read it. Just falls at his feet, almost invitingly. You see, well played. Nacho Monreal reads it well.
Well, Vicente Del Bosque has made his second switch, and it's Cesc Fabregas who's on for Pedro, the goal scorer. And flashpoint here as Pogba sees yellow. Spanish players unhappy with the challenge he put in. And they're letting him know about it.
He gets it very early. It's actually a knee to the back of the head of Xabi Alonso.
Well, they seem to have it all sorted out now. And then after that long delay, Spain didn't make much use of the free kick, did they? And to add insult to injury, says Fabregas, his first contribution to the game is to get booked for heading the ball away. Fabregas is playing as that false number 9 again, with Pedro removed. Well, another meaty challenge, and Paul Pogba is in real trouble. It's his second booking, and out comes the red card from Victor Kasai. 2 bookings in the space of a minute for Paul Pogba, who sarcastically applauds the Hungarian referee. Well, it has marred what has been a really mature performance by Pogba. He's only 20, it's only his second cap, and he has a red card to mark the occasion.
Probably just showing his inexperience here, Paul Pogba. After being booked, you've just got to be more careful. You've got to be more sure of yourself. He's only playing his natural game here, and actually isn't all that late. But when you've already seen yellow once, it's a challenge you've got to pull out of.
A disaster for Didier Deschamps' troops. Down to 10 men and still trailing here by a goal to nil. Is there any way back for them?
I think it's come at a point that Deschamps is probably considering his third change. Does he introduce Giroud? Is it for Benzema or alongside Benzema? I think the red card probably takes away the option of him going with two up front. Oh, that's a lot more of Matuidi. That's a lot more of everybody in blue.
Fabregas. Now Arbeloa. Spain will slow it down to a walking pace, and why not? They're in command here. Miscue in midfield provides Benzema with a launch pad. Ribéry with a lot to do. Too much, as it turned out. Piqué just shepherding it away from danger. Evra on the turn, whipping in a decent cross. And now this is where the numerical disadvantage could really hurt the French Navas. At full tilt against Koscielny.
Very well played, Laura Koscielny. Navas didn't have anywhere to go. And just as I say that, he gets a little bit sloppy with it. The French, in fairness to them, with their tempo, they're pinning the Spanish back a lot more than you would think, given the 10 men France have on the park. When they do launch a counter-attack, they are rather thin in numbers.
Oh, a disaster for England, Shaka. Montenegro have equalised. Remember, England was 2 points behind the Montenegrins at the start of play. 1-1 still. Quarter of an hour to play in that one too. Apparently Montenegro firmly on top. In front of a raucous crowd there. In Spain, trying to quieten the crowd for good, perhaps, in Paris. Teeing it up for Xabi Alonso. We've seen him hit the back of the net from that sort of range before.
You don't often see Xabi Alonso miscued by that much.
Karim Benzema is hearing it again. His long drought continues. 12 games now without a goal for Benzema. And, interestingly, it's Moussa Sissoko who's come on in his place. Shaka, what do you make of that switch from Didier Deschamps?
Oh, determined not to concede again, clearly, Deschamps. He's asking a lot of his front three. His front three, Ribéry, Menez and Valbuena. Poor handful for anybody.
And not going with Olivier Giroud, at least not yet. The man who scored in the last 2 World Cup qualifiers for France. And their late equaliser in Spain.
He's just his zone after he gets a little bit of an elbow in the back from Arbeloa. I expect, as anybody should, with 10 men on the field for France, that the distances between midfield and what will now be a front three will be all the larger.
Final score in Dublin, and those points that have got away for the Republic of Ireland. A 2-2 draw against Austria. Will feel like a defeat for them, perhaps. So that late equaliser from Alaba. Strong run from Sissoko, his first contribution. Ribéry. Frank Ribéry for France! Oh, it opened up for him. But he pulled it just agonisingly wide.
Sissoko does really well, as does Ribéry. Coming inside and then coming back across the green, trying to beat Valdez at his near post. I have to say, if Ribéry gets this on target, I think Valdez has it covered. Still, another good opportunity.
Well, his first international goal for France came against Spain in that World Cup first knockout round game back in in 2006, which the French won by 3-1, but that was a very different era for France, of course. It was a Zinedine Zidane-inspired side. Lots of Thierry Henry and Patrick Vieira was still very much part of that team. This is a new breed for France, a new beginning under Didier Deschamps. And they are now just 6 minutes away from their first defeat in World Cup qualifying. Probably hasn't been swashbuckling Spain, it hasn't been mesmerising Spain, but it has been ruthlessly efficient. Done enough as it stands at the moment. Jesus Navas trying to do a little more. Minutes for Didier Deschamps. He only has one switch left available to him. Was there a trip there on Jeremy Menez? There was. A yellow card is coming out in the direction of Alvaro Arbeloa. And France have themselves a free kick. Potentially useful position here.
Really? This is in Johan Cabaye territory. Cabaye, though, is already on the sidelines.
Just a little sly grab at the jersey there, wasn't there, from Arbeloa? It was enough.
I think he knows what he's doing all the way. Arbeloa. No real question about the foul for me.
What a moment for Mathieu Valbuena. Can he draw up the perfect service here? Valbuena curling it in! Oh, and Valdez performing miracles to keep it out. It was Evra whom he denied.
My goodness, what a save this is from Victor Valdez. Again, a great delivery by Valbuena. Patrice Evra, who's been in great goal-scoring form for club this season, gets his head to it, and from that close, you don't think the goalkeeper has a prayer. Strong left hand by Valdez. Wonderful save.
A study in concentration and poise here, Valdez, wasn't he? Evra scarcely believed he kept it. He's actually, despite his recent goals for Manchester United, never scored for France, Patrice Evra.
Well, that close, he had to. I thought that he was about to break his duck.
Spain survive a major scare against 10-man France. Can they dig deep and come up with another moment? Fabregas. No way through against Chalet. His clearance, though, picked off by Xabi Alonso. And Spain will nurse and protect this possession here and string out the French. Jesus Navas. France need the ball back, and they need it in a hurry. It says Fabregas. It's a man with other ideas. Iniesta. Up against Chalet. Iniesta teasing and tormenting. Spins the way of Xabi Alonso, who just rather uncharacteristically hacks it. Anywhere will do. More time melts away for France. Italy have eased to victory against Malta. 2 goals from Mario Balotelli. Even easier for the Dutch, wasn't it, against Romania? 4-0. And Germany, similarly, 4-1 victors against Kazakhstan. Israel 2-0 against Northern Ireland. The final score from Belfast.
Some of the problems playing up against 10 men here for Spain. Not really sure how to approach it. Slender lead that you want to defend. You have the numerical advantage. And not really, they don't seem certain as to whether they want to force the issue, the numerical supremacy. Just defend what they've got. French kind of sense that uncertainty. Probably experiencing the best spell of the game, albeit chasing.
Iniesta. This has been a masterclass, hasn't it, over the last couple of minutes by Spain. And to keep the ball away from opponents who are chasing the game, and that won't aid the French cause. A free kick conceded by Menez.
Every free kick conceded now. Spain will take as much time as it possibly can over.
The Spanish flags are flying here, high here at the Stade de France. Spain have 3 minutes of stoppage time to negotiate. It's all that stand between them and a return to the top of Group I. One back by the bandaged figure of Sergio Busquets. Do the French have anything left? At least they have the ball now. Koscielny with a heavy touch, though. Meant it was a brief period of possession, and now Fabregas. On it goes to Busquets, who could end it. Now Lloris flinging himself at the feet of Busquets, who seems to be trying to tee it up for a teammate to apply the finish.
Ball given away cheaply by the French as Koscielny coming forward. And Busquets, he gets here just ahead of Lloris, but it's not going for goal, so even though the contact does come, the referee has no choice but just to disregard it.
Well, it's a late introduction of Olivier Giroud. He's got all of 90 seconds to try and save his country here, replacing Jallet. And he did score, let's not forget, in the 94th minute in Madrid. Andres Iniesta is going to make way now for Juan Mata. So often the bridesmaid when it comes to Spain, Juan Mata. Surely be one of the first names on the team sheet if he was a different nationality.
So many players for Spain, because you can say exactly that about. Surprised that Deschamps needed after this late to introduce Giroud.
Up he goes to win his first aerial duel. Seemed to be extraordinarily late to leave it, doesn't it?
Also surprised that even though he brought on Sissoko, he played him as deep as he did. Probably want to protect it a little bit more, but Sissoko didn't really get past that Ribery or Valbuena. He operates so well for Newcastle.
Vicente Del Bosque in his 70th game in charge is on the verge of his 58th victory. Just think about that, 58 wins in 70 games. It'd be remarkable at any level of the game, checking that managerial record, let alone the international stage.
It really will be. And we started talking about the tiki-taka style that Spain have adopted over recent years. Spoke about them being perennial underachievers. The Spanish felt that they couldn't compete physically with a lot of the other countries in Europe. But for them to compete in a footballing sense, they would have to dominate possession. And that's what they've done. You may be critical of tiki-taka, but If Spain have the ball, the opposition don't. And that's been telling for them over recent season, that you can't question their record.
Monreal clearing his lines. Surely only a matter of seconds now. The revolution will have to wait. Normal service, very much restored by the Spanish here tonight in Paris. Pedro's goal is the difference as Spain go back to the top of Group I and now have their World Cup qualifying destiny in their own hands.
Well, it's a result hard fought, as you would have expected. Frank Ribery had a couple of good chances, but found Victor Valdez in fantastic form. Spain dominated possession, they dictated large portions of this game. And I think probably just shaded it and deserved the 3 points.
Narrow margin of victory, but 3 precious points for the Spanish as they leave Paris with the victory.